Sign it. Liu Yuchen tossed a document in front of me, his tone as cold as a scalpel. This is a 50 million check, and the villa in the west of the city. Enough for you to live comfortably for the rest of your life. I looked at the 4 bold characters divorce agreement. My heart gripped by an invisible hand, the pain almost suffocating. For 3 years of marriage, I was like a transparent shadow, guarding this empty, luxurious cage. And he, Liu Yuchen, the business emperor of Jiang City, who could do as he pleased, only remembered to wire money every month, but never remembered to come home. Why? I asked, knowing the answer, my voice trembling. He lit a cigarette, the smoke swirling, making his handsome face appear even more callous. Wei Wei is back. Qiao Wei Wei, the white moonlight he held in his heart, had returned. So, I, the rightful Mrs. Liu, should step down. My heart was completely dead. I picked up the pen, without a moment's hesitation, and signed my name at the bottom. Su Ran. A hint of astonishment flashed in Liu Yuchen's eyes, seemingly surprised by my decisiveness. Immediately, the corners of his lips curled into a mocking sneer. Su Ran, don't pretend to be strong. Without me, you'll struggle to survive. I didn't say anything, picked up the small suitcase beside me, and turned to leave. In the living room, his mother, who had always looked down on me, was sitting with Qiao Weiwei, enjoying afternoon tea. Finally gone. A hen that can't lay eggs. Who did she think she was? A phoenix. Yu Chen. Now our family can finally be together properly. Qiao Weiwei leaned on his shoulder, smiling sweetly and smugly. I walked out of the villa gate without looking sideways. A globally limited edition Bugatti Veyron silently glided to a stop in front of me. The door opened, and a man in a black suit bowed respectfully. Boss, welcome home. Liu Yuchen's mother, Lin Meiwan, walked to his side, holding a cup of bird's nest soup. Yuchen, that jinx is finally gone. You must treat Weiwei well from now on. A poor orphan from the countryside. Who did she think she was? Soaring onto a branch. If it weren't for the old man insisting you marry her to ward off bad luck, she wouldn't have even dreamed of entering our Liu family's door in her entire life. Qiao Weiwei coyly took Liu Yuchen's arm. Auntie, don't say that. Sister Su Ran is also quite pitiful. She said pitiful. But the smugness in her eyes couldn't be hidden. Liu Yuchen looked out the window, and for some reason, felt a sense of emptiness in his heart. He thought Su Ran would cry, would make a scene, would cling to him like a shrew, but she didn't. She was as calm as a stagnant pool, making him feel like he had punched cotton. All right, don't mention her. It's bad luck. Liu Yuchen waved his hand irritably, took out his phone, and prepared to deal with work. Suddenly, his assistant, Zhang Heng, called in a panic. Mr. Liu, something bad has happened. The company server has been hacked. Our Project Skyvault core data, which we're bidding on, is being frantically stolen by the other side. Liu Yuchen's face changed. What is the tech department doing? What are they good for? The opponent is too strong. Our firewall is like paper in front of them. President Liu, in another 10 minutes, all the data will be gone, and half a year of our hard work will be wasted. Project Skyvault is the Liu Corporation's most important project this year. He specifically entrusted it to Qiao Weiwei to help her gain a foothold in the company and silence the gossips. If something goes wrong, not only will Qiao Weiwei become a laughingstock, but Liu Corporation's stock price will also plummet. Useless. Liu Yuchen roared. Immediately contact the world's #1 hacker, Phantom. No matter how much it costs, we must get him here. Zhang Heng's voice was almost crying. President Liu, Phantom's whereabouts are uncertain, We can't contact him at all. Just then, Liu Yuchen's computer screen suddenly went black. A line of blood-red words appeared arrogantly. Want me to stop? Fine. 100 million. Transfer to this account. Liu Yuchen's pupils shrank. It was the hacker. He actually hacked directly into his personal computer. Transfer the money immediately. He didn't hesitate at all. The money arrived quickly. The red words on the computer screen changed again. Very good. The deal is done. Also, a friendly reminder. The person in charge of Project Skyvault is incompetent. Be careful not to be sold out and still help them count the money. Liu Yuchen's face was livid. The next second, the screen returned to normal, as if nothing had happened. Zhang Heng's call came again. President Liu, the attack has stopped. The data is saved. Liu Yuchen breathed a sigh of relief. But the nameless anger in his heart burned even more fiercely. Who exactly is this phantom? How dare he humiliate him like this? Looking at the account information, he felt that the anonymous recipient's code name S.R. was inexplicably familiar, although Project Skyvault was saved. Another key to the bidding was securing a huge investment from Polaris Capital. Polaris Capital is the most mysterious and powerful investment fund on Wall Street. Rumor has it that the person in power behind it is ruthless and has extremely sharp vision. To gain its favor is tantamount to being amped with the king of the future seal. For this investment, Liu Yuchen and Qiao Weiwei had prepared for a whole month. On the day of the meeting, Qiao Weiwei wore a custom-made dress, her makeup exquisite, holding Liu Yuchen's hand, looking every bit the hostess. Yuchen, don't worry. I've memorized the plan perfectly. We'll definitely win this time. Liu Yuchen nodded, but for some reason, he felt a trace of unease in his heart. The representative of Polaris Capital was a man named Chen Mo, with a powerful aura and eyes so sharp they could pierce through people's hearts. Qiao Weiwei opened the PPT and began her presentation, which was full of loopholes. The future of our Project Skyvault is the sea of stars. Before she could finish, Chen Mo interrupted her directly. I'm sorry. President Liu, I think I've come to the wrong place. Chen Mo stood up, not bothering to hide the disappointment and contempt on his face. Polaris Capital never collaborates with incompetent teams that can't even grasp basic market logic. This proposal is less of a business plan and more of an amateur's pipe dream. You've wasted my time. His voice wasn't loud, but it was like a sharp slap in the face, stinging both Qiao Weiwei and Liu Yuchen. Everyone present was stunned. Qiao Weiwei's face flushed crimson, and she trembled, unable to speak. Mr. Chen, is there some misunderstanding? Liu Yuchen hurriedly stood up. Chen Mo sneered. Not even glancing at him, he turned towards the door and bowed slightly, his attitude instantly shifting 180 degrees, becoming incredibly respectful. Boss, it's been taken care of, as you instructed. Everyone followed his gaze. At the conference room entrance, Su Ran was leaning against the doorframe, toying with an exquisite lighter in her hand. She was dressed in a simple white t-shirt and jeans, yet she seemed to stand at the top of the world, radiating a light that no one dared to look at directly. Her red lips parted slightly, and she uttered two words. Very good. Liu Yuchen was struck as if by lightning, his mind a complete blank. Boss. Su Ran is the boss of Polaris Capital. How is this possible? The woman in his house, who didn't dare to breathe loudly and only knew how to cook and do laundry. Could she be the capital queen of Wall Street? Chen Mo then announced. Polaris Capital will fully inject capital into a newly established technology company in Jiangqing Nirvana Technology. Liu Yuchen immediately asked Zhang Heng to investigate. A minute later, Zhang Heng reported in a trembling voice. President Liu, the legal representative and sole shareholder of Nirvana Technology, is Miss Su Ran. Liu Yuchen returned home dejectedly. Lin Meiwan saw his pale face and immediately greeted him. Yu Chen. What's wrong? Did the investment fall through? I told you that Qiao Weiwei is unreliable. All she knows how to do is flirt. Qiao Weiwei, who was standing to the side, cried with a face full of tears. Auntie, it's not my fault. It's all Su Ran. She stole our investment. Su Ran. Lin Meiwan shrieked. That bitch. How could she have such ability? She is the boss of Polaris Capital. Qiao Weiwei was consumed by jealousy. Her face distorted. She must have latched onto some old man a long time ago. Otherwise, where would she get the money? Lu Yuchen ignored their bickering and went upstairs alone. Locking himself in his study, he couldn't accept this fact. The woman he had scorned for 3 years, the woman he thought couldn't survive without him, had transformed into someone he had to look up to. What had she been playing for the past 3 years? A docile wife, or a top-notch con artist? The more he thought about it, the more chaotic his thoughts became, his heart feeling as if it were being repeatedly kneaded by a hand. Just then, a call came from the old house's butler, his voice anxious. Young master, it's terrible. The old master, he suddenly had a heart attack and is failing fast. Lu Yuchen froze, and immediately rushed out of the house. The Lu family's old master was the only one in the entire Lu family who had ever been genuinely kind to Su Ran. Back then, it was also the old master who had overruled everyone's objections and insisted that he marry Su Ran. By the time he arrived at the hospital, the entrance to the emergency room was already crowded with people. The best cardiac surgeons in the country were helpless, shaking their heads repeatedly. Mr. Lu's condition is too dangerous. We tried our best. Unless we can get the legendary medical sage Dr. S. Otherwise, prepare for the funeral arrangements. Dr. S. A legend in the medical world. Rumor has it that with a single gold needle, she can determine life and death. But her whereabouts are mysterious. Her temper is eccentric, and it's nearly impossible to get an audience with her. Lu Yuchen frantically used all his connections and finally contacted Dr. S.'s assistant. The assistant's reply, however, plunged him into an icy abyss. I'm sorry. Dr. S is very busy. Moreover, she never saves the family members of heartless and unrighteous people. Lu Yuchen nearly crushed the phone. What do you mean? The other party sneered and hung up the phone directly. Lu Yuchen's mother, Lin Meiwan, collapsed to the ground, wailing loudly. Qiao Weiwei also dabbed at her tears insincerely. The entire corridor was in chaos. Just as everyone was plunged into despair, the elevator doors at the end of the corridor opened with a ding. Su Ran, dressed in a white coat, walked out with a cold expression. On her chest hung a name tag with 2 words and a title clearly printed on it. Su Ran, special appointed expert. Dr. S. Lu Yuchen's breathing stopped completely at that moment. He stared at her intently, as if looking at an Ashura from hell. Su Ran walked up to him, looking down at him condescendingly. In her eyes, there was no hatred, only a cold desolation. You want me to save him? Her voice, like an ice-tempered blade, pierced into his heart with every word. I can. Kneel down. Beg me. Time seemed to stand still at that moment. Everyone in the corridor's eyes were focused on Lu Yuchen. He was the president of the Lu Group, the sky of Jiangqing. When had he ever suffered such humiliation? Lin Meiwan was the first to jump up, pointing at Su Ran's nose and cursing. Su Ran. You bitch. What do you think you are? How dare you make my son kneel to you? Don't forget, if it weren't for our Lu family, you would still be digging mud in the countryside. Ungrateful wretch. Su Ran. I know you hate me, but you can't gamble with the old man's life. How can you be so vicious? Qiao Weiwei echoed. Su Ran didn't even bother to glance at them. She just quietly looked at Lu Yuchen, as if she were looking at an insignificant stranger. My patience lasts only 10 seconds. 10, 9. The cold countdown was like the Grim Reaper's death warrant. Inside the emergency room, the alarm from the heart monitor grew increasingly urgent. Patient's blood pressure is still dropping. Heart rate is about to stop. Liu Yuchen's forehead was covered in a dense layer of cold sweat, and his body trembled violently. Dignity and his grandfather's life waged a fierce war in his mind. 8, 7. Su ran. How dare you? Lin Meiwan was still screaming. Thump. To everyone's disbelief, Liu Yuchen's knees buckled, and he knelt straight down. The hard tile floor made his knees ache, but he couldn't feel it. Dust covered his expensive suit pants, making him look utterly disheveled. He looked up, his once arrogant eyes now filled with humiliation and pleading. I beg you. His voice was hoarse and unrecognizable. A faint, almost invisible arc appeared at the corner of Su Ran's lips. Too quiet. I can't hear you. Liu Yuchen closed his eyes, clenched his fists, his fingernails digging deep into his flesh. He used all his strength to roar. I beg you. Save Grandpa. Very good. Su Ran dropped those 2 words, turned, and pushed open the emergency room door. The door slammed shut, cutting off all outside sounds. Liu Yuchen remained kneeling, like a statue devoid of its soul. His world completely collapsed at that moment. Chapter 5. The surgery lasted a full 8 hours. When the emergency room light went off, Liu Yuchen stood up abruptly, nearly falling because he had been kneeling for too long. Su Ran took off her mask, her face showing a hint of fatigue, but her eyes remained cold. The surgery was successful. His life has been saved. After saying that, she left directly, as if she had just done something insignificant. Liu Yuchen wanted to chase after her, but his footsteps felt as heavy as lead. What could he say? Say thank you, or question her about why she had kept it a secret from him? It seemed he no longer had the right to do so. 2 days later, old Mr. Liu slowly woke up. The first person he saw upon opening his eyes was Su Ran, who was watching over him at his bedside. Ran girl, the old man's voice was weak. Grandpa, you're awake. Su Ran's tone was unusually gentle. I know. You've saved this old man's life again. The old man smiled, his eyes full of affection and comfort. He took Su Ran's hand and patted it. Good child. You've been wronged all these years. Liu Yuchen, who was outside the door, felt a sharp pang in his heart upon hearing these words. The old man turned towards the doorway, his voice deepening. You good for nothing. Get in here. Liu Yuchen lowered his head, like a child who had done something wrong, and shuffled inside. Grandpa, don't call me Grandpa. I don't have a grandson as blind and foolish as you. The old man coughed in anger. I told you long ago that Ran is a good girl, a diamond in the rough, and you should treat her well. What did you do? You treated pebbles as pearls, and pearls as dust. Are you happy now that you've lost your own wife? Liu Yuchen couldn't say a word. The old man took a breath and continued. 3 years ago, I asked you to marry Ran not just for good luck. It was when I was inspecting projects in the countryside that I encountered a landslide. And it was this young girl Ran who saved my life with her knowledge of traditional Chinese medicine. I later found out that she was a descendant of the legendary Dr. Su family of Jing City, who had fallen on hard times and lived in seclusion in the countryside. Do you think you were capable of acquiring the startup capital I gave you? I secretly donated it in Ran's name. The old man's words were like thunderclaps, exploding in Liu Yuchen's mind. He had always thought that Su Ran was reaching above her station, but in reality, from the very beginning, it was he who had been benefiting from her. You didn't cherish what I gave you. The old man looked at Su Ran, his eyes becoming incredibly gentle. Now, I want to leave everything I have to my most worthy family member. He took out a document from under his pillow and handed it to Su Ran. Ran. This is a transfer of all the shares under Grandpa's name. From today onwards, you will be the largest shareholder of the Liu Group. As for this good-for-nothing, the old man glanced coldly at Liu Yuchen. Let him fend for himself. Chapter 6. The news that the Liu Group was about to change hands spread like wildfire throughout Jiang City. Su Ran, the discarded wife who had just been kicked out of the Liu family, had transformed into the largest shareholder of the Liu Group, and Qiao Weiwei had become the biggest laughingstock in the city. She was unwilling to accept it. She didn't believe she could lose to Su Ran. Jealousy and resentment completely overwhelmed her reason. She bribed a nurse at the hospital to forge evidence of medical malpractice, anonymously reporting that Su Ran had made mistakes during the surgery on the old man, nearly causing the patient's death. Immediately, there was a public outcry. Countless media reporters were camped outside the hospital and the Liu Corporation headquarters, demanding a statement from Su Ran. The myth of Dr. S was on the verge of collapse, hiding in the shadows. Qiao Weiwei watched the online onslaught against Su Ran, a malicious smile spreading across her face. Su Ran, let's see how you recover from this. Triumphantly, she called Liu Yuchen. Yuchen, did you see? Su Ran is a fraud. She knows nothing about medicine. She almost killed Grandpa. On the other end of the line, there was a long silence. Just when Qiao Weiwei thought Liu Yuchen would side with her, an even bigger bombshell exploded online. A high-definition video clearly documented how Qiao Weiwei coerced and tempted a young nurse into fabricating evidence. Immediately after, more dirt was relentlessly dredged up and thrown out. Shocking. New designer Qiao Weiwei is a plagiarist. Her debut work is a 100 replica of a niche foreign designer. Let's dissect Qiao Weiwei's rise to power. Plastic surgery, forged education, and simultaneous relationships with multiple wealthy businessmen. The so-called top socialite is nothing but a complete and utter liar. Each revelation was accompanied by detailed and irrefutable evidence. Videos, recordings, transfer records. The person pulling the strings behind the scenes clearly had no intention of leaving her any room to maneuver. Qiao Weiwei's Weibo was instantly overwhelmed by angry netizens, a tidal wave of abuse crashing over her. The socialite persona she had painstakingly cultivated for years was shattered overnight, leaving not even a trace of its former self. She watched it all in horror, trembling from head to toe. She knew it was Phantom, the mysterious hacker. She frantically called Liu Yuchen, begging him through tears. Yuchen, save me, please. Help me get the trending topics removed, please. Liu Yuchen's voice was as cold as Antarctic ice. Qiao Weiwei, the person you tried to harm with fabricated evidence is the one who saved my life. From this moment on, there is nothing between us. With that, he hung up and blocked all her contact methods. Qiao Weiwei collapsed to the ground, her face ashen. She was finished. Completely finished. Meanwhile, Su Ran was sitting in her office, watching the scrolling code on her computer screen, gently pressing the enter key. On the screen, a black Phantom logo flashed briefly. She picked up her coffee, her red lips curving into a slight smile. Trying to fight me. You're still too green. Chapter 7. Qiao Weiwei's downfall brought Liu Yuchen to a stark realization. He finally understood how terribly wrong he had been for the past 3 years. He began to desperately try to make amends, holding the largest bouquet of blue roses. He rushed to Su Ran's company building. Su Ran, can we talk? Su Ran's assistant immediately called security. I'm sorry, Mr. Liu. Our CEO Su is very busy and doesn't have time to see you. 2 tall security guards invited him out like they were picking up a chick. Not giving up. He wanted to buy the office building next to Su Ran's company, hoping to gain an advantage by being nearby. But the next day, the news broke. Nirvana Technology splashes cash, acquires CBD Twin Towers, creating another business legend. He wanted to give her limited edition jewelry, only to find that she had already bought those things herself and casually tossed them in her office as decorations. He frantically called her and sent messages. Ran. I know I was wrong. Can you give me one more chance? Ran. It's raining outside. Remember to bring an umbrella. Ran. I miss you so much. Silence. No response. He finally understood the despair Sue Ran felt when she sent him messages and never received a reply. What goes around comes around. Now, it was his turn. Like a stalker, he guarded Sue Ran's company every day. Just to catch a glimpse of her. He saw her walk into the building with composure and confidence. Saw her laughing and talking with her subordinates. Saw the light emanating from her. So dazzling. So captivating. And he could only hide in the corner like a rat in a sewer. Humbly looking up at her, he then realized that he had never truly understood her. In his memory, Sue Ran always wore an apron, her head lowered, gentle and silent. But the Sue Ran before him was confident, powerful, and radiant. Which one was the real her? Or were they both her? It was just that he had personally killed the Sue Ran who loved him. Chapters 89. This day, Liu Yuchen was waiting downstairs again. He saw Sue Ran walking out with a man. That man was handsome and refined, and his eyes were filled with undisguised admiration and affection as he looked at Sue Ran. It was Chin Mo, the representative from Polaris Capital. Chin Mo considerately opened the car door for Sue Ran, and the two got into the car while chatting and laughing. That scene was like a red-hot branding iron, burning fiercely into Liu Yuchen's heart. An emotion he had never experienced before, called jealousy, instantly engulfed him. He frantically drove after them. He stopped them in front of a high-end restaurant. Ran. His eyes were bloodshot as he stared intensely at Chin Mo. Who is he? Sue Ran frowned, as if looking at a madman making trouble for no reason. Liu Yuchen. We're divorced. My affairs are none of your business. Chin Mo stepped forward, protecting Sue Ran behind him, his tone neither humble nor arrogant. Mr. Liu, please be respectful. I am Ran's pursuer. A pursuer. Liu Yuchen laughed, a laugh more painful than crying. On what grounds? How long have you known her? Do you know what she likes and dislikes? Of course. I know, Chin Mo said calmly. I know she likes watching old movies and dislikes cilantro. I know she seems strong, but she's actually afraid on rainy nights. I know how much she's suffered and how many tears she's shed over the past 3 years. Mr. Liu, you spent 3 years without understanding her at all, and I, for 10 years, have silently guarded her in places you couldn't see. Liu Yuchen was thunderstruck. 10 years. He suddenly remembered something and began frantically investigating the past. He investigated the car accident that happened 3 years ago. Before he married Sue Ran, everyone told him that Xiao Weiwei had saved him. He only remembered that the girl who saved him was wearing a white dress and, in her dying moments, gave him the hope to live on. He had always placed this gratitude on Xiao Weiwei. But when he went to great lengths to find the surveillance footage from that year, he completely broke down. Although the surveillance footage was blurry, he could clearly see it. The girl at the scene of the accident, who used her thin shoulders to drag him out of the burning car and give him first aid, was wearing a faded white dress. That face was clearly an 18-year-old Sue Ran. And Xiao Weiwei only arrived at the scene after the ambulance came and falsely claimed the credit. So, the white moonlight he had been longing for all these years was a complete lie from beginning to end. He loved the wrong person, and hated the wrong person. The one he pushed away with his own hands was the only light in his life. Chapter 10. Liu Yuchen, holding a copy of the surveillance video, rushed into Sue Ran's office like a madman. Ran. He knelt on the ground with a thump, held the video up to her, and sobbed uncontrollably. It was my fault. Ran. It was you all along. It's always been you. I was blind. My heart was blind. I'm not human. I treated my enemy as my benefactor and you as heir. I'm sorry. Ran. Please forgive me. Okay. He cried like a child, humbling himself to the dust. The air in the office was eerily quiet. Sue Ran looked at him quietly, her face without a trace of emotion. She didn't even look at the video. After a long time, she slowly opened her mouth, her voice as calm as a deep pool. Lu Yuqing, does this matter? Lu Yuqing looked up sharply, staring at her in disbelief. Even if I was the one who saved you back then, so what? Your 3 years of cold violence and humiliation towards me were real. It's also true that you forced me to sign the divorce agreement for Qiao Weiwei's sake. It's even more true that your mother scolded me in front of everyone, calling me a chicken that can't lay eggs. Each of her words was like a sharp knife, slowly cutting him to pieces. Lu Yuqing, I'm no longer the little girl who would blush and have her heart flutter from a single word from you. You never loved me. You only loved the perfect savior you imagined. Sue Ran stood up and walked over to him, looking down at him. And what you discarded was the me you could never, ever reach. Her eyes were cold, resolute, devoid of any emotion. At that moment, Lu Yuchen knew he had completely lost her. Forever. Chapter 11. Under Sue Ran's commercial sniping and internal rectification, the Lu Group's stock price plummeted, teetering on the brink of collapse. The once powerful business empire was now battered by wind and rain. On the verge of bankruptcy, Lu Yuchen's hair turned white overnight. He exhausted every possible means, but could not reverse the decline. Finally, he came to Sue Ran's office with his last shred of dignity. This was the first time since their divorce that he had been allowed to step foot here. President Sue, he said, his head lowered, his voice hoarse. I beg you to acquire the Lu Group. At least preserve the lifelong efforts of my grandfather and father. Sue Ran sat in front of the huge floor-to-ceiling window and turned her chair. Sunlight shone on her, making her look like an unattainable goddess. Okay. She took out a contract and pushed it in front of him. Sign it. The same scene. The same words. Only this time, their positions were completely reversed. Lu Yuchen picked up the pen, looked at the acquisition agreement that was almost a cession of territory and indemnity, and smiled self-deprecatingly. He signed his name. From that moment on, he had nothing. Just as he was signing, Sue Ran's phone rang. It was Chin Mo calling. Her voice instantly softened. Yeah, just finished. Okay. Going to Antarctica to see penguins sounds nice. She smiled, her eyes crinkling. A happiness and ease from the bottom of her heart that he had never seen before. She didn't even look at him again. Lu Yuchen held the pen, frozen in place, his heart as cold as ashes. It turned out that the greatest revenge one person could take on another was not hatred. It was complete, utter indifference. Chapter 12. 6 months later, on a private island in the South Pacific, Sue Ran, wearing a bikini, lay on a beach chair, enjoying the sun. Old Master Lu was fishing nearby. Looking hale and hearty, Chin Mo came over with a glass of chilled juice, considerately opening the parasol for her. What are you looking at? Sue Ran shook her phone, which displayed a financial news article. Former business tycoon Lu Yuchen was photographed carrying bricks at a construction site. Looking haggard and unrecognizable, she swiped the news away casually, deleting the notification. It's nothing, just some junk information. She looked up, facing the sea breeze, and smiled brightly at Chin Mo. By the way, I suddenly don't want to go to Antarctica anymore. Let's travel around the world. Okay. Chin Mo's eyes were full of doting laughter. Whatever you want. Just then, Sue Ran's domestic phone received a text message from an unknown number. Ran. I really know I was wrong. I'll use my whole life to atone for it. Please, come back to me. Sue Ran glanced at it, a playful smile tugging at the corner of her mouth. She handed the phone to Chin Mo. Reply for me. Chin Mo took the phone, his slender fingers tapping a few times on the screen before returning it to her. Sue Ran glanced at the reply and smiled contentedly. Only one sentence appeared on the screen. Want to chase my boss? Get in line. Oh, and I forgot to tell you, the waiting list is full until next lifetime.